If you've played FM for a little while, you'll know that there's some key staff members at the club that are great to have, from a brilliant head of youth development to really good scouts and a great director of football. Yet I think there's some staff roles that are completely overlooked in FM that can completely change the way your team plays and give you massive success down the line. So today I'm going to look at 5 of the most overlooked staff roles in Football Manager that you need to help you out. That's right, staff roles are the focus of today's video. 5 that I think are super important but overlooked. Like, we know coaches, we know assistant managers and head of youth developments, but what about some of these other ones? What can they do for you? Before we get into that though, if you do enjoy the video, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button for us and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But most importantly, let me know in the comments down below your favourite staff role in FM, one that you think is overlooked, that you've had great success with. But with that being said, let's go and take a look at staff role number 1. And I'm going to start off with the technical director, an overlooked staff position that many people ignore, but I think can help your club in massive ways. Now, as we go on in this video, I'll get to ones I think are even more overlooked than this. But let's start with a technical director. What can he do? Well, we all know what a director of football can do. They can help you operate when it comes to transfers of players and sales of players, contract renewals, but a technical director will do the same kind of thing, but for staff members. So if you go to the responsibilities tab through the staff section, go down to staff, and then when it comes to recruiting staff or contracts, you can actually give that over to your technical director, so they'll be in charge of that. And the better this staff member is, the better he's going to do a job at finding you the right staff for your club. Now, if you look at this Arsenal team, you can see based on these graphs, we've got a very good staff set up here already. I hired some key positions myself, but the rest has all been done by the technical director, who's gone out and not only found people for your staff, which is obviously going to save you time, but also he negotiates the contracts and the renewal of those. So he's got this guy on 1.4 grand a week. When that contract comes to a close, if you don't have a technical director or someone doing this job for you, you'll then have to do the negotiations yourself or pass it on to someone else, where a technical director will sort it all for you, who make sure the staff are renewed when they should be renewed, replaced when they need to be replaced, and keep your staff improving at a good level. Now, I know there's some people that will say, actually, I could do this myself, get rid of a technical director and do a better job. And that is true. You could probably go out there, not have a technical director and sort it all yourself, but it just takes so long. There's no need to, when you can have a guy that does it for you. Yes, it might be, 99% as good as you that would have done it at a 100% level, but it is still so important, so good for your team to have, so good for your club. And if they've got good negotiation skills, they'll get contracts down that will really help save your club money and help you in the long run. The role that I want to focus on next is a set piece coach. And this is one that I really wanted to talk about as a new addition to FM24. I found so many people are ignoring this and basically just going with a set piece coach they're already given at the start of the game, because it hasn't been spoken about much. It is a new addition, but they can be absolutely crucial to your team's performance. Now, I'm not saying it's going to win you a league title by having a good set piece coach, but let's take this example. This guy here, Nicholas Jova, has got really good set pieces at 19. Now, that's going to mean that he's probably going to set up better set piece routines, or at least train new routines quicker for your players. He's also got some other attributes that help him as well, and each set piece coach has their own style. But if you have someone with, say, 15 set pieces compared to someone with 19 set pieces, if the better set piece coach helps you get, say, 3 more goals a season, 2 more goals a season, that is crucial. That could be an extra 3 points on the board, maybe an extra 6 points if you're lucky, if they are game-changing goals that get scored from a set piece. That can be the difference between Champions League football and, Europa League. These things can have a massive impact. So finding a set piece coach that's good is massively important. Now, you don't need to have to sit there and find someone that really suits your players that you've got in terms of set piece preferences. No, to be honest, just go out there, find someone with high levels of set pieces, leave them in the job, and they'll do a really good job for you. I just think it's so important, and so many people are overlooking it and just getting in any old head that they had from the start and not really improving on what is a vital role in your team setup. Perhaps controversially though, the next staff role that I think is super underused is the loan manager. Now, I say controversially because there's lots of people out there that think a loan manager is pointless, and I was one of those for a while. Now, it must be said, I think this is only useful for a top level club. If you're in the Vanarama National League, you don't want to have a loan manager. I think a team like Arsenal, it's perfect though, because you're going to have a lot of young players in your development squad that are good enough for lower level teams, good enough for other leagues, that you want to loan out. But so often you don't want to sit there and go through every player in your academy, in your under 21s, loaning them out and keeping an eye on them when they're ready for first team football or otherwise. But if you have a loan manager, they can save you plenty of time, and I'll show you how. Now, we could actually get a better loan manager in here if we wanted wanted to, has better analysing data, but oftentimes it's not the loan manager's attributes that affect the fact that they're quite underused, but actually the buttons that you've clicked in game that will affect what a loan manager does. So let's start off with that. Firstly, you want to go to your staff section if you have a loan manager, go to transfers and contracts, go down to find development loans, outgoing development loans should I say, and give that over to your loan manager. In this case, Alejandro Alonso is in charge of that. Now for the next step. If you have a player like Roshan Gordon or Takehiro Takeda that you want to go out there and get game time at a club, but he's not necessarily ready for you. So this player, for example, could easily play championship level football, but isn't good enough for a Champions League competing Arsenal side. What I do is I go to the transfer section and click add to development list. This is a button that so many people don't know exists. When you click this, you'll get this message pop up. You can get rid of it if you want to, but basically you determine the parameters that you want your loan manager to find a loan for your player of. So I might say here, you know, he's on 10 grand a week. Some lower level clubs might not be able to pay that. So all I'm going to say is I just want 50% of his wages paid if he plays and 100% if he doesn't. I want to make sure he's going to be a regular starter at least where he goes. Training facilities, the club that I want him to go to should have at least adequate training facilities. I'm going to say any nation, but you can dig into this and only pick loans, say in your country if they've got low adaptability. Then you go out there and you just click don't show again, development list, and you can see Roshan Gordon is now on that development list. Now what this will do is if you've set your loan manager to be in charge of those outgoing development loans, is he'll sort this for you now. As you can see, Alejandro Alonso is responsible for finding suitable loan clubs for players on the development list. So you don't have to go out there and keep offering them out. You put him on the development list and this loan manager will go out and try and find him a loan. Now it's reported by some people, I think it was in a Zealand video I saw ages ago. I can't remember the source for this, so I can't take this as fully gospel, but not only does a loan manager help you out in terms of loaning these players out for you and saving you the time, but I actually think they can pull out more options in terms of loan destinations that you wouldn't be able to as a manager. Like they can just find more links out there. They do a better job of finding loans than you would otherwise. So it's a really good idea to use that development list. Now, sometimes they won't find a loan for your player. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes they will. Obviously, at this stage of a season, he's not going to find one. But if we set this during a transfer window, we could hopefully get him a good loan for the coming season that can help develop him. And then also any of those players on loan, if you want to learn about how they're doing, you can click on them. And instead of just getting the average rating, in this case with Zinchenko, we're getting information about how often he's playing and also the role he's playing in. And whilst it might not be important for a player like Zinchenko who we're just trying to loan out to sell, if it's a youth player that you're really watching the development of, this information can be vital because they might pick up on a player's unhappiness or the fact that they're not playing. You can recall them, sort them a new loan. So I think loan managers are so underrated in FM, but I've got two more staff roles to go that I think are the most underrated in the whole game. But before we get onto them, if you do want to check out this Arsenal rebuild that I'm showing you here, we're a few years in the future at this point, but this is on my channel, which you can find linked in the description. Over there, we're getting so close to 40k subscribers, so any help towards that goal will be absolutely massive. So thank you to anyone who does that. But let's take a look at the last two staff roles. And you might laugh when I say this, both of these kind of go hand in hand, but the first one is the physio. Now you might think, why does a physio really matter? This is a football management game. But what a lot of people don't realise is having a good physio team actually affects how long your players are out injured. Now that might sound super obvious when you hear it, but so many people don't realise that's the case. And if you're someone that's out there looking at a physio with 15 compared to a physio with 18 and thinking, I don't want to pay an extra 200 quid a week on this staff member, really invest in it. This is a huge staff role that can massively affect your team. If you've got 5 good physios, 6, 7, 8 good physios, even 1, it's going to have an impact on how long your players are out injured. In this case, look, João Pedro is currently out injured. He's got 3 more weeks until he's back fit. Now, I can't say for sure the exact timing of what this wouldn't be without our physios, but I can guarantee you if we had a poor physio team, he would be out for longer. He might miss an extra few games a season, which can be massive in terms of how your season plays, much like the set piece coach that we looked at earlier. If we can get João Pedro for 2 extra matches, that could be an extra goal, that could be an extra 3 points, which could help us win the title. So I really recommend you don't cheap out on the staff role section. Having a good physio is massively important, but it also coincides with the other staff role that I think is underused, or should I at least say underappreciated, and that is sports science. In this case, we've got Ricky O'Donoghue with 15 sports science. We could potentially even do better than that at a club like Arsenal. Now, whilst the physio helps with injuries once they've happened, Ricky O'Donoghue here, our sports scientist and our sports scientist team, they help reduce the fatigue of players, which in turn will help reduce their injury risk. So you actually stop these players getting injured in the first place. And like I say, much with the physio, if that can help a couple of players be fit for an extra 2 games a season, that will have a massive influence on your season. So it's so often easy to look at this medical team and just forget about it like it doesn't exist. But make sure you're getting some good staff members in. Make sure it's looking like a good medical team, because they will completely change the fortunes of your players. And if you focus on all of these staff roles, not only will you get some more goals from set pieces, you'll save yourself time on staff contracts, you'll make sure your players are out injured for longer and have less injury risk. And even with your development players, a loan manager can help make sure they're getting the right loans and the right developments to become a superstar for your team. So focus on those staff roles, don't just ignore them. Everything in Football Manager is there for a reason. So let me know down below if you think I've missed any underappreciated staff role. Make sure you're using all these, and I'll see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.